The year is 1939, and the USSR is invading Finland. The Soviet army is marching through the Finnish swamps when they hear shouting from the other side of a nearby hill, "I bet one Finn can beat 10 Soviets." The Soviet officer laughs at this and sends 10 of his best soldiers to deal with this guy. After a couple of minutes of shooting they hear the voice again, "I bet one Finn can beat 100 Soviets." The officer, now enraged, sends 100 soldiers to silence this cocky Finn. A few minutes of shooting and screaming later, the voice shouts again, "I bet one Finn can beat 1,000 Soviets." The officer is now absolutely furious with this enemy, but knows that nobody could possibly beat 1,000 soldiers alone, so he accepts the challenge once more and sends 1,000 of his men. Nearly 15 minutes of shooting, screaming, and bright flashes later, a lone Soviet soldier comes crawling back over the hill with severe burns, covered in blood and half of his leg mangled. Panicked, he yells to his comrades, "Don't go up there. It's a trap. There are actually 2 of them." A calm, respected woman walks into a pharmacy. As she walks in, she goes right up to the pharmacist, looks him straight into his eyes and said, "I would like to buy some cyanide." The pharmacist asked her, "Why in the world do you need cyanide?" She said, "I need it to poison my husband." The pharmacist's eyes got really big and he exclaimed, "Lord have mercy, I can't give you cyanide to kill your husband. That's against the law. I'll lose my license, they will throw us both in jail. All kinds of bad stuff will happen." "Absolutely not. You cannot have any cyanide." The lady then pulls a picture out of her purse showing him her husband in bed with the pharmacist's wife. The pharmacist examines the picture for a couple minutes, sighs and hands it back saying, "Well, now that's different, you didn't tell me had a prescription." There is love without sex, and there is sex without love. And then there's you, without both. A mathematics professor arrived home at 3 a.m. drunk. His wife was up waiting for him. "You said you'd be home by 1145. She yelled. He responded, "No my dear, I said I'd be home at 11:15. A guy with a gun bursts into a bank and screams a person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. Also known as a commercial enterprise. The old lady in front of him whispers to the teller, "ID, do whatever he asks. He means business." A man with no arms and legs was sunbaking on the beach. A gorgeous blonde was walking past him, stopped for a second with a tang of pity in her eyes. "Have you ever had a hug?" she asked. "No." So with an awe, she gave him a big hug. 2 minutes later, another beautiful woman was walking past the man. "Oh, look at you, honey. Have you ever been kissed?" "No," he says. She leans down and gives him a passionate kiss. Another few minutes pass and another stunning lady walks past. "Oh, you poor thing, have you ever been fucked?" "No." "Well, you will be soon, the tide's coming in." Why was 2019 afraid of 2020? Because today they got into a fight, and 2021. Happy New Year, y'all. A little boy and his father visited the country store, and upon leaving the store, the owner of the store offered the little boy some free sweets. "Grab a handful of sweets," the merchant said to the boy. The boy just stood there looking up at his father. The owner repeated himself, "Son, get a handful of sweets, it's free." Again the boy did not move, continuing to look up in the face of his father. Finally the father reached into the candy jar and got a handful of sweets and gave it to his son. As they walked back home, the father stopped and asked his son why he did not grab a handful of the free candy. The boy with a big smile on his face looked into the face of his father and said, "Because I know that your hand is bigger than mine." Why are redneck murders the hardest to solve? All the DNA matches and there's no dental records. Me slapping my older brother in the face with his own hand. Me, stop hitting yourself, haha, why do you keep hitting yourself? Sister-in-law crying, is this why you wanted an open casket? My sister bet me I couldn't make a car out of spaghetti. You should have seen her face as I drove pasta. Sex after death. A couple made a deal that whoever died first would come back and inform the other if there is sex after death. Their biggest fear was that there was no afterlife at all. After a long life together, Frank was the first to die and, true to his word, he made the first contact. "Chris, Chris, can you hear me? Is that you, Frank?" "Yes, I've come back like we agreed." "That's wonderful. What's it like? Well, I get up in the morning, I have sex, I have breakfast, and then it's off to the golf course, I have sex again, bathe in the warm sun, and then have sex a couple of more times. Then I have lunch, and Chris, you'd be proud, lots of greens. Another romp around the golf course, then pretty much have sex the rest of the afternoon. After supper, it's back to the golf course again. Then it's more sex until late at night. I catch some much needed sleep, and then the next day it starts all over again. Oh, Frank. Are you in heaven? No, I'm a rabbit somewhere in Arizona. Adam meets a witch. The witch tells him, tell me I am pretty or you will be cursed. Adam, sorry, but I don't find you attractive. Witch, take that back, or you most surely will be cursed. Adam, nope. You're hideous. The witch then transformed him into an ant. Witch, look where your rudeness brought you. Adam, yeah, this sucks, but you still look like a moldy potato. Witch, very well, then. You will remain in this form until you repent and call me pretty. He is still adamant. Some bloke walked up to the counter and said, burger and chips, please. Certainly, sir, I replied. Are you eating in or taking out? Fuck off, you cunt, he snapped, before walking off with his food. I love working in the prison canteen. Procrastination is like masturbation. It feels good while you're doing it, but you're only fucking yourself. A man and a woman were traveling in a train. Woman, every time you smile, I feel like inviting you to my place. Man, ah. Are you single? Woman, no, I am a dentist. Can someone give an example of things that are useless? The teacher asked. Me raises hand. Teacher, very good. Any other examples? A doctor was having an affair with his nurse. Shortly afterward, she told him that she was pregnant. Not wanting his wife to know, he gave the nurse a sum of money and asked her to go to Italy and have the baby there. But how will I let you know the baby is born? She asked. He replied, just send me a postcard and write spaghetti on the back. I'll take care of expenses. Not knowing what else to do, the nurse took the money and flew to Italy. 6 months went by, and then one day the doctor's wife called him at the office and said, dear, you received a very strange postcard in the mail today from Europe, and I don't understand what it means. The doctor said, just wait until I get home and I will explain it to you. Later that evening the doctor came home, read the postcard, and fell to the floor with a heart attack. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital emergency room. The head medic stayed back to comfort the wife. He asked what trauma had precipitated the cardiac arrest. So the wife picked up the card and read spaghetti, 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 2 with sausage and meatballs 2 without. I hate it when engineering students refer to themselves as engineers. Like you don't see med students calling themselves doctors or art students calling themselves unemployed. All my friends jokingly said that this girl I have a date with is imaginary. Well, the joke is on them. Because so are they. Dad, I'm so excited. I got a B in reading. Dad, that's a D, idiot. They say you are what you eat. Well, today I bought some ready-to-eat chicken, and sure enough, when I got home I was ready to eat chicken. Wife missing. My wife has been missing for a week. The police called me and said to prepare for the worst. So I went back to Goodwill and bought all her clothes back. Did you hear that Disney is making a crossover between Star Wars and Back to the Future where the time machine is half car and half person? It's called The Mandalorian. The American military should really be worried. Russian technology is a decade ahead of them at the moment.